Hi everyone, my name is Rachel de Guzman. I am your Sports on Purpose host. On this vlog, we will be spreading awareness on the most valuable life lessons learned and wisdom gained from playing, coaching, and participating in sports by bringing the most fascinating conversations with some of the most inspirational and insightful sports personalities in the country. Your toughest ultramarathon race?
Toughest. Okay. Actually, each run that I did, be it a short distance or long distance, or super long distance, bawat isa kasi it has its own its own difficulty. If it's a short distance, then I have to run really fast. If it's a long distance, then I have to endure and to make sure that I fuel myself well, or like I eat well, something like that. But okay, to give a certain I most difficult I can say, uh one of it is my Machu Picchu trail, Inca Trail Marathon, because of the altitude. It was just a full marathon. It's a 42-kilometer, but because the altitude was so high, I suffered a lot. Really, I suffered a lot. I was the last runner. Last runner in the sense that the others dropped from the race already, that I became the last runner, and I had to push not to be cut off in the gate entrance to the Machu Picchu uh, site itself, because otherwise I have to go to a different route, which I don't like. My goal at that time was really to enter the gate, because the gate has a certain time kasi that it will close. So runners behind cannot enter anymore. So I really have to push myself despite the altitude sickness that I was experiencing. Yeah. But there were also other races that was also difficult. Like Grand to Grand was also difficult because well, Inca Trail Marathon is a single stage race. Grand to Grand, on the other hand, is a multi-stage race, meaning to say we have to run several days. It was difficult in a sense that it was my first stage. No, actually, it was my second stage race, or multi-stage race. It's just that it was my first race in a desert. I do not know how. It was my first experience actually in a desert, from Grand Canyon to Grand Staircase. So carrying more than 13 kilos in my pack, because it's a self-contained race, that was also difficult for me because I do not know how my body will react to the weather, because it's a desert. It's so hot and dry and humid during daytime, but it was so cold in the evening. And carrying 13 kilos, yes, it was really difficult. But I was happy I was able to pull myself through it and finish the race.
You're
Yeah.
amazing, Mom Cheryl. I love hearing this. Your story about when you ran the toughest race.
Mhm.
So in the desert, you can easily get dehydrated, and it's not that easy to run on a sand. I only ran on a sand once when I joined the
No.
360 Taal. Okay, run.
Mhm. Ah,
Yeah,
yes, 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 yes.
that's very difficult for me. I got easily out of breath and,
Mm.
yeah, and dehydrated.
True, true,
Very
true.
difficult.
It's hard because we don't have it. I mean, how can you practice it? That's
Oh
what I
yeah,
always
yeah,
tell
yes.
the rest. That's what I told the race director. Where will I practice? I mean, we don't have the sand dunes. I cannot go to Ilocos and
Yeah.
experience it there. So it's really difficult.
Mm,
I mean, you have to. It's like double effort because
yeah.
you'll move few inches, but you'll you'll move backward as well. So
Exactly.
especially if it's a month.
Moving
Yeah.
downward. And you have to alter
Mhm.
your running form or technique, right? Did you have to do that? Yeah.
I have to crawl sometimes.
Wha-
Those sand dunes, like two-story or a story, one-story building tall, something like that. So it's like, how will I climb? But once you're there,
Goodness.
you just have to survive.
You were just surprised that you
It
had to.
was part, it was part of the course because they will send us the description of
Mm,
what do you go for the several days. Like day one, this is where you're going to pass, something like that. I was expecting it because it's my first time to experience it. It was really something. It's like, oh my God, how will I do this? But it was not just me. I mean, well, at first it was just me in the dark, and then there were others also at my back, and then they passed through me. It's like, how did she do it? How come she's
yeah.
so fast? And then here I am. It's like I was even using my hand to climb it over, and then once I was there, it's like, oh my God, they walk so because probably they're used to it.
Maybe.
But
Or probably they
yeah,
had
it
a
was
way
my
to
first.
train for it. Or maybe it's their probably second, third, fourth, fifth doing that. Probably.
Yeah,
Miss Cheryl,
true, true.
you're really fascinating. You are really fascinating. Very tough. Yeah, this is
Thank
one
you.
of, I'll mention his name anyway. So, Coach Vince,
Who's that?
was curious
Okay.
what your
Mm-hmm.
mantra is when you are in the middle of a grueling race, like what you were describing earlier when you had to climb that two-story sand dunes. What's your
Okay. Really, running long distance, the super long distance races. I just have to think of happy thoughts. I don't want to think of negative. I mean, I don't have because do doing the run itself physically it's already challenging. So I should instill in my mind something positive, happy thoughts that I had. So my mantra always is that I should not give up. I should push myself, just continue, something like that, because it helps me uh, push myself to endure and to no matter how difficult the situation, I know that I'd be able to surpass it or be able to overcome it. So it's just really like continue, go on, continue running. It's something that I instill to myself that for as long as I will not give up, I will finish this one.
wow? So just
Yeah.
don't give up and keep going. And speaking of,
Yes, yes,
you
yes.
mentioned something about the thoughts. I'm just curious what those happy thoughts are because certainly it certainly helped you to push through and keep going. So I'm just curious what those happy thoughts are.
It's really always like happy memories of my childhood
Mm.
with my family, and then happy thoughts like um, the little achievements that I have.
Mm.
I'll always recall a certain happy moment for me to be able to continue to continue with what I'm doing. Family, um, my achievements as a person and as a runner, like those races that I finished. I always recall. I want to recall, but that's why in running I don't want to hear like if there's a support crew that will tell me, ano ba yan, hirap na hirap ka na, something like, I don't want to hear that
Yeah.
because it's so hard for me to shift again because that will keep on going in my mind. Like
Mm,
I need to, yeah, it's like,
stay positive.
uh, yeah, it has to be something positive because it will add up to the difficulty that I'm experiencing at the moment
Mm.
because we have to I mean I myself has to agree that running is not easy. It is something that you have to push. I have to push myself even if I because I love doing it, but I know that I have to physically exert effort in order for me to be able to finish the race. So there's also that suffering. I love doing it, but there's also that part that I'm physically suffering because I want to do faster, but I know I cannot run faster, something like that. Or sometimes I'm already experiencing acid reflux. I cannot. I mean, there were times that I really cannot um, eat anymore, eat
Mm,
any solid, but I'm
mm,
still halfway through the race. So it is also something that I have to deal with. So
mm.
with that, I have to feed my mind as well with something that will push me to continue. One race that I had in Malaysia, it's a 444 kilometer.
Wow.
Really, but it's a road, but it's really very long. It's the cutoff was 120 hours. How I was able to finish the race was like I have to think of because that race I dedicate to all women that I know.
Mm.
So for every 50 kilometer, I said to myself, I dedicate this distance to my mom. So I
Wow.
have to think of all the happy memories that I have with my mom. But sometimes I have to think, my God, it's so difficult. I mean, the terrain is so difficult, but because my no matter how difficult the I mean that course for that certain 50-kilometer distance. But because I'm thinking of mom, this is for you. Mom, this is for all the happy memories that we have. So it keeps me going despite the fact that I'm so sleepy or my legs are so painful already with all the blisters. So yeah, for the 444 kilometers, for every 50 kilometer that for every 50-kilometer section, I thought of the women that I had in my that had an impact in my life in
Wow.
order for me to finish it with a smile in my face.
Wow. That's really something that
Yeah.
I
So
can, that's, sorry, that's really something that I can directly apply in my own running. Hearing that from you. That's why I think this, I mean, interviewing athletes like you have been life changing for me. Every time I will join, let's say 42K or more in the future, hopefully, I'll find some courage to
mm,
do it. It's really on my bucket list. Yeah, I will think about this technique that I can use or this mantra that I can use so that I'll keep going. And it's also something, it becomes really personal when you dedicate it for some people that
true.
you're doing this for them.
Mm,
And it, yeah, it just
right.
changes the game. It just changes how you think, changes your outlook. And yeah, and it's probably um the most important reason why you should finish a certain race is because because you're not just
True.
doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it
Yeah.
for other people. You have such a long and successful career in ultramarathon. So what kept you motivated all these years? Did you ever think that I'm gonna stop now and I'll just participate recreationally? Did you ever think about that? And what keeps you going up to now?
What keeps me going really are the people around me. I mean, come to think about it, you're right. I can always say enough for that, but really seeing other people doing it
Mm.
inspired me to continue doing it.
Mm.
Um, Actually, it's not just racing itself, even training.
Mm.
Um, Seeing other people doing the training continuously, just like Coach Vince and
Mm.
Patrick. I mean, I'm amazed of how they can continue doing it daily.
Mm.
So there's no reason for me not to do it as well. Something like that. Really, honestly, because there are times that you're down. There are times that you said, "Oh, I'd rather sleep rather than wake up at 2 a.m. to be in the mountain by 4 a.m." Because
Wow.
honestly, it's a sacrifice as well. I mean, you really have um, to sacrifice a certain. I mean, you have to think of your priority.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to give up your time with your family because you need to do the training.
Mm.
So seeing other people doing it inspired me to continue doing it. Um, Same thing with racing. Seeing other people, like my friends, especially my close friends, doing it, doing the race continuously, be it because I mean, not all the races you can finish it. There are times that you DNF or you stop
Yeah.
at a certain distance. But either whether you finish or not, it's always that inspiration for me. That inspiration, seeing this person doing it continuously,
Mm.
so it inspires me to do it
I do the
as well.
same. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I always have, as what I've mentioned earlier, once I do the run, be it a race or a training, it fuels myself. I feel more alive. I feel more connected to nature.
Mm.
And at a certain time, and even until now, I tell myself it's like my going to church or saying praises to God. It's like it's my way of thanking him, something like that.
Mhm. Wow, that's incredible, Miss Cherry. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
I'll I'll just tell about a bit about myself in terms of disappointments. I used to beat myself up when I planned something and was not able to follow
Mm-hmm.
through. Let's say I scheduled a
Mm-hmm.
run for this week. I'm gonna run at exactly 5:30 a.m. and I'm gonna go to the gym at
Mm-hmm.
around 4 p.m. And for some reason, it didn't happen. So I really do like structure and organizing my days, weeks, if not months, in
Mm-hmm.
advance. So I used to feel not exactly defeated, but disappointed with myself if things didn't go according to my plans. That was
Mm-hmm.
to be me. And then last year, I had
Mm-hmm.
so much time to reflect, and I thought I should be, more flexible. And I realized that I needed to be kinder and forgiving to myself and not put a lot of
Yourself.
pressure on me.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you deal?
True.
Yes. How do you deal with things if they didn't go according to your plan? Or how do you deal with setbacks in general?
Okay. Honestly, this is what I noticed. This is what I during my races. It is when I'm more happy that I perform more.
Mm.
In my in both races and training, you're right. There are times that things didn't go the way you wanted to be, both uh, during races or training. Like you have a certain plan, but it turned out you got you got tired and no one to did not push through with the plan that you had. The same thing with racing. Um, you had a certain plan, but it didn't turn out the way you wanted, and you ended like you did not finish the race. So it's even more disappointing. At first, just like what you've mentioned, I feel down. Of course, all of us, lahat naman ng siguro tayo, will be disappointed with ourselves. But um, at some point, I learned to accept that, um, especially during races that I did not finish, I learned to accept that to myself, that there are really races that I cannot finish, and I have to work hard for it for me to be able to finish it. I mean, there are races that I continuously going to join until now that I still did not even finish. But for me, it is that I just have to accept to myself that at that very moment I did not finish. Um, for as long as I know that I did my best during that race, I pushed. I mean, I give my all. I pushed myself hard, but still I did not finish. I just have to accept the fact that I did not finish and learn my lesson from it. What should I do next in order for me to be able to do the race again and finish the race in the future? So to train it. So before the pandemic, there were a few races that I target to join, and I really put much effort on my training because, as what I've mentioned earlier, I'm not really a fast runner because I really thought I'm not running. I really thought running is not for me. So it's a given that I really cannot run just like how Majo runs. She's so fast, or how other runners like Daphne and other trail runners, they are so fast. But for me, um, I cannot. My pace is not fast, but I can do it continuously. So with the races that I did not finish, these are the races that really needs for runners to run faster, to have a faster pace. So aside from, because for me, just to be, I mean, yeah, it's there, you're disappointed, but I also have to move on and learn from it. uh, I have to work more, I mean, work out more, do some training to be able to achieve it in the future. Because I always believe that if others finished it, then there's no reason for me not to be able to finish it as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's just
So,
sorry. So we'll wrap up like the mindset, because you've been answering, your answers have been so valuable, and yeah, the philosophies and the mindset behind what you're doing are just so fascinating. I'd like to just wrap it up. How would you describe an ultra marathon mindset?
um, you just have to be, well, first, you have to endure. You have to be enduring because ultra marathon really is such a very long distance to tackle. So ako kasi I don't think of the distance, but rather I think of, I cut it into several sections. That's what I've mentioned to you. Just like what I did in Malaysia, and the one that I did in Europe as well. The one that the Transferinia, though that was not really a race because it was canceled, but it was also a long distance race, or a long distance run. So you should have that mindset that you should not you should not stop, or you should not give up, because no matter how long the distance is, sooner or later you'll be able to finish. That's how I think about the distances the long distance races that I join.
Since we're
And because for me, for as long as my body can endure, then I'll go on.
yes, you'll keep
I'll
going.
continue until the end.
Wow. Since we're already talking about mindset, do you think training the mind through running is enough for runners, or or runners still have to make a conscious effort to do something more to further develop a more solid running mindset?
For me, it's both. I mean, you have to be physically trained as well. I mean, because if you have all the mindset, but you don't balance it with physically active and physically doing the training. I mean, because you have to make your body be used to. I mean, not the actual, because that's what I've mentioned to you. How will you train for like a 400-kilometer race? So it's really doing it slowly, or I mean, doing it daily, doing it consistently. So together with the physical training, it's where also your the mind setting comes in as well. So it's really, for me, it's exposing yourself to the physical challenge. Both your body and your mind will, it will just adapt to the situation. And like your, if you put yourself into that situation, then your mindset will just follow too. That's how I see it.
You are indeed a successful woman inside and outside running. You are mentally tough, you're strong and intelligent, to say the least. At this point in your life, do you still have any self-limiting beliefs? Like when you said earlier
Um,
that you when you were a child, you didn't really see yourself as a runner, and you thought that running more than 42
um,
k was very challenging or next to impossible.
uh-huh. That mindset of I cannot run fast is something I have to deal with until now, honestly. Because there are a lot of co-runners like Coach JLB, or those close friends of mine will say na go Ate Che, kaya mo yan. But in my mind, I always have doubt because I always compare myself to other fast-paced runners like Majo and other runners that are really, I mean, slim and lean. And because I'm really like chunky, I have big thighs and legs. So I always compare myself to them. And I know that is something that I need to overcome until now. That that I can run fast for as long as I train. But I cannot help myself thinking as well that um, how much more training do I need to do in order for me to be able to do a sub 4 full marathon, something, because this is something that's really quite impossible. I mean, until now, I can't even qualify for a Milo marathon. That's a 4:45. Yeah, it's a, oh, no, no, no. It's a 4:40 time, which I cannot. So I just have to keep telling myself that it is something that can be done, or that's something that my pace can eventually improve if I will still push myself to do
Yeah,
more, to train more. So I
yeah,
think uh, that's a limiting mindset that I have, that I have to overcome until now,
yeah. But I
despite the years of training.
yeah. But while I was listening to you, I sort of get the right message from what you were saying, that even if I mean, at the back of your mind, you still subconsciously or consciously believe that you said you cannot run faster. But for me, the fact that you just keep going and keep trying, that's very powerful, that's very beautiful, Mom Cheryl, because you
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I picked that up from from what you were saying. That's really amazing, and I hope the listeners will see that as well from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So what apart from running and your profession, in what other ways do you express yourself?
Honestly, because as what I've mentioned before, um, I in college it was just really school and work.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and home. And then when I was working, it was just really work and home
Mhm.
until I discovered mountaineering and then running. Aside from running, right now, I was into mountaineering, and then at some point I was into rock climbing as well. But those two I really haven't done again. I mean, I haven't go back to mountaineering, which I always wanted to go back one day probably because I was I was so amazed with running, especially ultra running, that it occupies already my time. I haven't been back to the wall or even to the rock,
Mm.
doing the rock climbing.
Oh, you also did some
Yeah,
rock climbing.
but
That's amazing.
I was into rock climbing before.
Mm. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the most important thing you have learned as a woman?
Okay. Because in the field that we are into, I mean, running, mountaineering, it's really a male-dominated
Yeah.
sport,
Yeah.
especially mountaineering. I mean, it will not shows gender. The especially the high altitude climbing. I mean, even if I was the only female in the six-man team, I still have to carry the weight that men are carrying.
Mm.
But as a woman, I can say that for as long as you have the drive to do it, even if we are into the male-dominated sports,
Yeah.
for as long as you have the passion, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't be intimidated with their presence because each of us has our own, I mean, our own goal. And um, for as long as you have the passion to do it, yeah, nothing will be impossible.
Cool.
So yeah, so I really hope there will be more women who will go into running ultra distances because honestly, that's what I tell others. My batches are, I mean, when I started especially trail running, they had other priorities already, and I really hope uh, there will be more women
Yeah.
who will go into the sports,
Mhm.
especially the long distances.
We're gonna go
Yeah.
to the second to the last part of the interview. I call it Fast Five. So I ask questions, but I'm sorry, you're not allowed to explain. It's very quick.
That's why.
Yeah. Just a phrase, phrases,
Okay.
or just one sentence only. Sorry.
Mhm.
Okay, here we are.
Okay.
First question. What was the most difficult question you have asked yourself?
Why? Why run? Why endure? Yeah, why?
Okay. Second question. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
Singing.
Wow. That's nice. What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
Surviving year 2020.
That's great. Number four.
Mm-hmm.
What would you regret not fully doing or not fully being or having in your life?
I can think of any because
That's
I'm always happy with what I have.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Number
Because there's
five.
no regret. It's just lessons we learn.
Yes. Only
Mhm.
learning. No failures.
Yes, yes.
Just learning.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, what is something you think every person should experience in their lifetime?
Travel.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Last part of the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. Yeah. Fill in the blanks. Running for me is
Mm-hmm. Life.
the 3 most valuable life skills I have developed through running are.
Um, persevere, endure, and focus on your goal.
Number 3, I find inspiration from.
Other people or people around me.
My most treasured memory is.
Um, that sense of fulfillment.
Last one. The wisest
Mhm.
thing I have ever heard someone say is.
Never give up.
Oh,
Because
wow.
for as long as there's life, there's hope.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Are there any other questions that you think I should have asked or things that you want to say that we didn't cover earlier? Or any final words, Miss Che?
Final words. For ano nga ba? For everybody, I mean, go for what you want in life, not just in running. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
especially for women, if there's something that you want to pursue in life, go for it. You'd be amazed with yourself
Yeah.
that you'd be able to do it.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, yeah.
How can the audience connect with you, Mom Cheryl? Maybe
I
they
have
want
my
your questions.
I have my IG account and Facebook account. They
I'll
can
just
always drop me a message or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'll just indicate that on the video so that they will see.
Yeah.
Wow, Miss Cheryl, it has been an incredible afternoon. I don't know. Well, most of the time I was just speechless listening to you, and as you answer my questions, a lot of things have been running through my mind as well. It's very difficult to contain because you have so many rich experience about life, and yeah, this is priceless. You're a beautiful person. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.